Hi, and welcome back to Roots and Resistance, the podcast where ecology meets feminism and where stories of care, justice, and struggle bloom across continents. I'm your host, Sophia, and in today's episode, we shine a light on a towering figure in the global ecofeminist movement, Dr. Vandana Shiva, a physicist by training and a revolutionary by choice. Vandana Shiva has spent decades defending biodiversity, traditional knowledge, and the rights of small farmers, especially women. Through her life and work, she embodies what it means to resist both patriarchy and capitalism by returning power to the people and the earth. Let's dive in. First of all, who is Vandana Shiva? Vandana Shiva was born in 1952 in the foothills of the Himalayas in Dehradun, India, a place surrounded by forests, rivers, and vibrant biodiversity. Her father was a forest conservator, and her mother a farmer with a deep love for the land. These early connections to nature would go on to shape her worldview in profound ways. She went on to study physics and completed her PhD in the philosophy of science at the University of Western Ontario, where she focused on quantum theory. But after returning to India in the 1970s, she became increasingly concerned with the socio-environmental impacts of modern science and industrial agriculture, particularly how they affected the lives of rural women and indigenous communities. Then, her activism gained momentum in the aftermath of the Green Revolution, a wave of industrial agriculture policies that promised to end hunger in India through the use of chemical fertilizers, monocultures, and high-yield seeds. While productivity increased, the ecological and social costs were devastating. Soil degradation, water scarcity, farmer debt, and loss of seed diversity. Vandana Shiva began raising her voice against these injustices, and the rest, as they say, is history. This is what I call seeds of resistance. One of Vandana's most powerful contributions to ecofeminist thought and practice is her work on seed sovereignty. In 1991, she founded Navdanya, which means 9 seeds, in India as both a movement and a living archive of indigenous seed varieties. The goal was simple but radical: to protect farmers' right to save, share, and plant their own seeds, free from corporate control. Under globalization and neoliberal trade agreements, multinational agrochemical companies have aggressively promoted genetically modified seeds and patented hybrids. These seeds often require expensive chemical inputs and cannot be reused by farmers from season to season, forcing them into dependency on corporations like Monsanto. For Vandana, this was not just a threat to biodiversity, it was a threat to food democracy. Navdanya has since trained over 1 million farmers in organic agriculture and established more than 150 seed banks across India. These efforts are not just ecological, they're political. They return autonomy and knowledge to the hands of women farmers, who Shiva calls the real custodians of biodiversity. This is grassroots socialism in action, collective ownership of knowledge, land, and life rather than its privatization for profit. It's about creating a food system that nourishes communities, protects the earth, and respects the labor and wisdom of those who cultivate it. Then we have the ecofeminist vision, or earth democracy. At the heart of Vandana Shiva's ecofeminism is a concept she calls earth democracy, a vision of the world where all living beings have intrinsic value and where the economy serves life rather than destroys it. Earth democracy is a response to what she calls the monoculture of the mind, the colonial, patriarchal, and capitalist mentality that sees diversity as a disorder, life as a commodity, and nature as something to be conquered. In contrast, Earth democracy calls for pluralism, participation and protection of life in all its forms. Vandana argues that women, especially in the global south, are on the front lines of this vision, not just as victims but as leaders. Their deep knowledge of local ecologies, seeds, herbs, water systems, and communal care practices make them powerful stewards of sustainability. For her, ecofeminism is not an abstract theory. It's a live reality in the everyday work of women who plant, harvest, protect, and resist. In her book Staying Alive, Women, Ecology, and Development from 1988, that I highly recommend you to read if you want to know all about ecofeminist theory, she writes, women in agriculture are not only producing food, they are also conserving biodiversity. They are breeding and conserving seeds. They are protecting soil and water. They are practicing sustainable agriculture. They are creating ecological security. Earth democracy offers a framework for building a post-capitalist, post-patriarchal future, one grounded in interdependence, justice, and resilience. It invites us to imagine economies that work with nature, not against it, and that uplift the voices and knowledge of women rather than erase them. So, as we can see, Vandana Shiva's work teaches us the battle for the earth is inseparable from the battle for justice. Through seed-saving, ecological knowledge, and fierce advocacy, she has carved out a path of resistance that is both global and deeply rooted in local realities. As we think about climate change, environmental collapse, and the need for radical change, her voice reminds us that another way is not only possible, it's already growing in the fields and forests in the hands of women and communities who refuse to surrender to the logic of destruction. In our next episode, we'll travel to Latin America to hear the stories of women who are resisting mining, deforestation, and extractivism in the defense of their ancestral lands. Their struggles and their hope will inspire and challenge us. Thank you for joining us today on Roots and Resistance. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow, share, or leave a review. Until next time, stay grounded, stay bold, and remember, the future is in the seeds we plant today.